welcome to Ag PhD. I'm Brian Hefty.
And I'm Darren Hefty. Thanks for joining us today. I've had so many questions with the changing economics, commodity prices going down. What are the input prices going to do? And how many of the cost reductions are going to come in the form of rebates? Well, there are quite a few rebates, and we'll start running the pencil for you in today's show by talking about some of these rebate programs.
We're also going to discuss weed control in soybeans. If you're not putting a pre-emerge herbicide on today, chances are you're having lots of weed issues. And you know what? For that matter, just one pre may not do it. We're going to talk about your options pre-emerge in soybeans.
Well, I've also got a weed of the week that is kind of a sticky one. We'll explain that later in the show. But first, here's today's Farm Basics.
Farm Basics is brought to you by the Liberty Link trait and Liberty herbicide from Bayer. The most reliable weed management solution, Liberty Link and Liberty herbicide are the link to efficient row crop production and sustainable weed management.
One of the most common requests we get from farmers is during our Farm Basics time, they want us to talk to non-farmers about how much it costs to farm. And if you are a non-farmer, we just want you to understand, yeah, it seems like a lot of money that the farmer would be bringing in, and a lot of people will say, well, boy, he only has to work for a month in the spring and a month in the fall, and that's all he has to do, and he makes all this money. I wish it was that easy, and everybody would want to farm. So today we kind of wanted to run through some of these costs and also make this comparison from 2004, 10 years ago, to, we talked kind of similar about this on the show in 2010, to today. Things really have changed a lot in just 10 years on the farm.
Well, one of the things that's changed is yield. And when we look at what we're doing on the farm as farmers, we grade ourselves in how big that crop is. So if we raise 125 bushel corn like we did back in 2004, we want to get better than that each year. And that's certainly happened on our farm and many farms across the country. Yields have been getting better.
Yeah, and let me just say this. When we're talking about these costs to farm, a lot of these would be our own costs for our farm. We realize every farm is different. There are certainly tweaks that you can make, lots of changes you can do, but in terms of costs on our farm and costs of the average farm in this area and through much of the Midwest, this is kind of what we're talking about. So when Darren says 125 bushels in 2004, that's what we were usually talking on our farm in 2004. 2010 we went to 175, today we're talking 180.
Well, one thing that has changed is the value of the land. And in our area, land prices have gone up considerably, especially when corn made its big run up to $7 a bushel in this area for a short period of time. Land rents went up right along with the land prices. So our land rents are dramatically higher than they were back in 2004 in this area. In 2004, rent was often around $80 an acre. By 2010, rent was up to $130, and by 2014, rent is all the way up to $200 per acre. So 2.5 times what it was just 10 years ago.
After cash rent, the next biggest cost on the farm today is fertilizer. We figure $140 an acre for corn fertilizer, and we're just talking for an average corn field here. So in terms of the seed and the crop protection products, all those things, fertilizer, we're just going to figure corn here. So seed costs are up a lot since 04 as well. We figured $40 back then, $110 today. On the crop protection side, it's about the same, about $40 all the way through. Equipment's up a little bit from 04, $50 back then. We figure $80 today. Insurance is about double, gas, oil, tires, buildings, bins, all that kind of stuff. Everything on the farm has gone up to some degree. So grand total, we figured back in 04, $280 per acre to farm a corn acre back then on our farm and the average farm around here. Today we figure $615 an acre.
Well, it sounds like a lot of money, and it definitely is, but the way that farmers will figure this out to figure out if they can make money doing this or not is they'll try to take that total cost per acre and divide it by the expected number of bushels they're going to get on the farm. So as they're making these choices, all right, if I buy the right seed, if I do the right fertility program, if I do everything I can to manage that crop properly, I can get this certain yield. So I'll divide total cost by bushels expected to get what they feel their cost per bushel is going to be. So back in 2004, we looked at a cost per bushel estimated of $2.24. Now, $3.42. So the cost per bushel is much higher, and when you look at where that price per bushel is at around the country, it varies in what you can get at ethanol plants or grain terminals. So for farmers, if the price of corn is actually $3 in town when they haul the grain in, and it's going to cost them $3.42 a bushel to produce that bushel of corn, well, that's a losing proposition, and that's where we're at right now. We're right on that border where can we make money or not? We really do need the markets to go in our favor a little bit in order for that to happen.
So once again, the reason why we wanted to share this information with you is just so you understand, as a non-farmer, how much it really does take, how much money it costs. Well, you start multiplying this out, $615 an acre, even on 1,000 acres, at $615,000. Like for us, we farm 2,700 acres, so you're talking between $1 million and $2 million just to put the crop in and all the expenses and everything else. And then we're really dependent on Mother Nature and obviously the commodity prices too, because where they're at today, corn production is not a money-making proposition through much of the United States.
Well, certainly one of the things farmers will keep an eye on in their fields is weed control. Can you identify this week's Weed of the Week?
What's next in weed control technology? Roundup Ready 2 Extend soybeans will provide tolerance to dicamba and glyphosate and will be built on the Genuity Roundup Ready to Yield trait. See them in action at extendfollowafield.com.
H&R AgriPower, your Case IH dealer, has the power to get you more. More equipment. H&R has the best selection and you can get the equipment that is right for your farm. More technology. H&R AgriPower, the precision farming experts, deliver accuracy within 1 inch 95% of the time. More parts inventory. H&R AgriPower has the area's largest parts inventory, so chances are we have the part you need in stock. H&R AgriPower, your Case IH dealer. The power to get you more.
Welcome to the 30-second tour of your local Poet plant. Local producers sell us tons of their grain. We grind it, mix it with water and special enzymes. The result is fermented, distilled, and dehydrated until it's 200 proof alcohol. Corn oil is extracted, and protein and nutrients are condensed, dried, and turned into animal feed, bringing our tour to an end with high-protein feed and cleaner-burning high-octane fuel. Visit poet.com to learn more.
For lower cost, higher production, Mandako Agri leads with versatility unmatched. Twister is the vertical tillage unit for no-till as well as conventional tillage. Twister's ease of maintenance is forgiving in rocks and has contour conformity equaling 0 downtime. Our hydraulically adjusted Coulter angles make residue management easier, less costly. Spring or fall, the Mandako Twister vertical tillage unit is the new leader. See your Mandako Agri dealer. Visit northcountrymarketing.biz or call.
The world of farming is changing. Titan Machinery and Case IH are here to make sure you're ready. The demands on agriculture keep growing. The challenge for producers is to continue to keep pace. To be successful, you'll need equipment that can get the most out of every inch of land, innovations that help you work faster, and advice from people who know your field as well as they know your equipment. Don't get left behind. Be ready with Case IH and Titan Machinery. Better solutions.
A proven herbicide for decades, dicamba can provide burn-down residual control of tough and resistant weeds for up to 14 days. That's another reason why farmers will use dicamba for years to come. Brought to you by Roundup Ready Plus Weed Management Solutions.
Well, in 2015, we just laid out the costs in our Farm Basics time that, wow, it's going to be tough to make some money in 2015, and so the crop input suppliers definitely see that. And when we're talking about these big, major, multinational companies in many cases, well, they don't want to just drop the price of their products. That's really tough to explain to shareholders. So many times what they'll do is say, well, we need to make a deal with the farmer somehow. Let's do it through rebate programs, or we can tie a couple things together, maybe get them to use a couple products instead of just one, or maybe we'll just have something, if you buy so much, you can get a discount. So good examples here, like corn insecticides for next year. We've got a lot of guys across the country, and maybe you're one of them, talking about, well, I might change my trait package on my corn to try and save a little money on seed. Now I'll need to use some dry insecticide at planting. Well, AMVAC has the SmartBox system, and so they've got some deals on SmartBox systems if you need to get set up with that on your planter, and those deals are sweeter the earlier that you order. So AMVAC's got programs on SmartBoxes. That may be one place to look to save money.
The company we've probably talked the most about that's going to get most affected by what's going on in agriculture agriculture right now is BASF with their fungicide market in general. And what they're doing is they're actually not lowering the straight out price, at least today, on fungicides, but what they are going to do is have some rebate programs. So with Preaxor and Headline, those are really their two big fungicides today. Both of those prices are going to be down after the rebate going into this next year. So Preaxor roughly will be down $1.50, Headline down roughly $1. But then beside that, we've talked a lot about Headline in furrow in corn, and they've done a lot of work. So they're now talking instead of 6 ounces, 4 ounces, because they found their yield gain is about the same with 4 ounces as opposed to 6. So if you use 4 ounces, you get this rebate. Now you're down to maybe an $8 or $10 an acre as opposed to $15 or $18 an acre.
When it comes to soybean seed, there's a lot of changes going on there too. If you're switching away from Roundup Ready seed, looking for Liberty Link seed, Bayer has increased the offer on the Liberty Link seed. Now if you're buying a certain amount of Liberty Link seed, you can get $6 an acre back. Plus they've got rebates tying in with pre-emerge herbicides to compete with what Monsanto's offer has been on the Roundup Ready to Yield program. So you can get rebates on your herbicides that you're going to use, plus a rebate on your seed if you're buying the Liberty Link soybeans.
With Monsanto, they've had a number of rebate programs basically tied in with name brand Roundup over the last few years. The programs are pretty similar to last year on the soybean side. In fact, exactly similar to last year on the soybean side. They've got rebates between Fierce and Roundup, any of the Authority products and Roundup, Valor and Roundup, Warrant and Roundup, a number of different things that can lower your costs $1 to $3 an acre. So that's great. The other thing that they've done is they've brought back the pre-emerge rebates on corn. So in other words, if you use Harness, Harness Extra, Triple Flex, those types of products, you're going to get $1 to $1.50 an acre back. So that does definitely help the cost. And this is one of the exciting things for me on the farm is I can use a lot of the same products and my net cost is going to be a little bit lower after rebate programs. And don't get me wrong, I'd rather have just a straight out upfront lower price, but I'll take that lower price any way I can get it.
Well, certainly a lot of details to all of these programs, and we'll put the rebate programs up on our website so you can find them, and we'll be talking about them in more detail at our winter workshops around the country. Looking at Mycogen Seeds and Dow AgriScience's offer, they've got one of these deals where you have to buy more than one product and then you get in on some great deals. So you buy at least one Mycogen seed product, whether that's corn, soybeans. They've also got sunflowers, canola, and alfalfa, and then you can tie in with a herbicide or with another seed product and save money on both. Now it depends on the volume that you're buying. So if you're buying more seed, for example on corn, if you're buying 500 units or more, well, you could save up to $24 a bag on the corn. But if you're only buying 80 units, you save $8. So it kind of varies depending on how much you're buying. But again, you tie in two different products from Mycogen and Dow, and you can get some big rebates there.
Besides rebates, there are lots of companies who do have finance offers as well, as low as 0% APR. So whether it's BASF or Bayer, Monsanto, FMC, Syngenta, lots of programs out there. So if you're looking for financing in addition to rebates, we just suggest you talk to your retailer and do it quickly, because with a lot of these finance offers, the interest rate's the same, and in a lot of cases it's 0% or it's a really low rate. Well, why not take advantage of it now and get the lowest price of the season rather than wait until in season and pay in season prices and still get the financing? So it's just a better deal the earlier you do it.
When there's finance offers that you don't have to give up anything, it's no cost to you or the dealer, that's a good deal for everybody, and you can save some money at it too.
Well, once again, there are a lot of rebate programs and financing offers out there this year. We just encourage you to talk to your retailer, take a look at these things, and take a look at them real early. That's going to be to your very best interest in terms of economically speaking.
Well, one other thing that's always in your best interest is keeping weeds out of your fields. We'll show you how to stop this tough weed later in the show.
Being a farmer means securing your land and livelihood for the future. Harvest Solutions from Capello USA have the grit to get you there. Our product lines for corn, sunflowers, and forage are designed for efficiency and longevity, preventing harvest loss while minimizing maintenance and downtime. To do everything you can to advance your farmland to the next generation, call us at 855-CAPELLO or visit us at capellousa.com. Capello USA, Italian craftsmanship, American grit.
I've been involved in developing new technologies in agriculture for over 3 decades. The changing times demanded that we develop new and better equipment. Dry powder applications on seed can only be highly successful if they can be easily, effectively, and accurately applied to the target. That's where our company, Changing Times and CT Applicators, come into the picture. The innovative CT Applicators are designed to give you the most accurate application of products such as talc, soybean inoculants, or other dry products. Remember, CT Applicators for the changing times.
A farmer's attention to detail is what makes the difference. You take the time for service management because you know how vital it is to your operation. You service your field like everything else because soil sampling makes all the difference and gets the results you want. Download the app Soil Test Pro and start grid sampling today. Keep your farm growing strong. The more you test, the more you know.
We know that the future is liquid. Agriculture liquid fertilizers' constant research and development creates next-generation products that seem like science fiction. But the fact is, the yields, the sustainability, the food and fiber that our customers produce season after season is not a dream, but a reality. Agriculture liquid fertilizers, helping you grow the future.
My data is mine, not mined.
Mine to share.
Mine to keep.
It's mine when I want it.
Mine where I want it.
And only mine.
My data is mine to analyze.
Mine to put to work.
Mine to control.
It's mine.
The AFS Connect Farm Management System from Case IH connects you, and only you, to the information you need most from your equipment, from anywhere, at any time. AFS Connect, only from Case IH.
For the last few years, Darren and I have talked a lot about using 3 different sites of action pre-emerge in soybeans. That's your very best plan to get great weed control. So today we wanted to talk through what your options are and what the costs are too, because that's probably the biggest thing that I hear from people. They're worried, well, I can't use 3 pre's, the commodity prices are down and it's going to cost a lot of money.
Well, weeds will definitely cost you more money. There's no question about it. How they compete for sunlight, for nutrients, and for water with your crop, it's huge. When we look at weeds like pigweed, for example, whether it's Palmer pigweed or tall water hemp across the country, if you have a heavy infestation of pigweed in your fields, you're going to give up tremendous amounts of yield.
Well, it's not just pigweed, it's all these different weeds. And let me just say too, the reason why we talk about using 3 pre's is because the post-emerge options stink. There is no good post-emerge option if Roundup isn't working unless you're going to Liberty. So if you've got a Roundup bean and Roundup doesn't kill the weeds in your area, what are you going to do? Sure, you can use FlexStar or Pursuit or First Rate or Classic or some of these products. Yes, they'll work on tiny weeds and they'll probably give you 90 to 95% control. Okay, well, if you've got 1 billion weeds out in your field, heck, even if you have 1 million weeds out in your field and you get 90 or 95% control, that's not good enough. You're still going to have significant yield loss. So you're much ahead to start with a clean field, get these weeds under control early and pre-emerge.
Well, here's the other way I look at it is I talk to guys all across the country. I don't want to have to burn my beans post-emerge, and I think that actually might hurt my yield when I'm burning leaves. You don't need to. If you can control these weeds pre, it's cheaper and you're going to have much less crop response doing it.
Okay, let's talk about the program. So what we'd recommend is put down metribuzin. The highest rate we want you to use is 1/3 of a pound. That costs $4. But if you've got high pH soil or sandy ground, then use a lower rate, 1/6 of a pound, 1/8 of a pound, 1/10 of a pound. Doesn't cost very much money. The next thing is use one of the yellows. That's Sonaland, Treflan, or Prowl. Your cost is going to vary from $4 to $12 depending on which of the products you use. Prowl is the only one that can be used in no-till. Now, instead of the yellows, if you want to use Zidua, you'll find that in Fierce, for example. You certainly can do that. That's a Group 15. We'd prefer that you save the Group 15 for early post-emerge, so use the yellow. Then finally, we want you to use a PPO. Sharpen is fine, you just can't use a high enough rate to give you good residual, so we'd recommend using either Valor or Authority, and that, after rebate, is going to cost you $6 or $7 an acre. For the low rate, if you want to bump the rate, you certainly can do that.
Okay, back to the metribuzin for just a minute, because I was going to add the comment to what Brian was saying of talk to an agronomist in your area who knows your soils. He can tell you how much metribuzin you can use. But I get this response from different areas in the country where they say, well, agronomists in my area say, oh, we can't use metribuzin because they used to use,
don't listen to the
2/3 of a pound per acre. No. That was the full rate back in the, 30 years ago when I was a kid. And 2/3 of a pound, sure, you definitely can't do that in high pH or sand. But don't listen to the guys that say you can't use any amount of metribuzin.
Right.
I find that very hard to believe. Just reduce your rate. The other thing, in high pH or in low cation exchange capacity sandy soils, what you'll find is that a lower rate of metribuzin works like the full rate. It really does a nice job on weed control because it's so highly available. So don't wipe that out of your program, just reduce the amount that you're putting out.
Okay, so let me make it simple for you with metribuzin. And again, this is the old Sencor or Lexone, same stuff that we had 30 years ago. As long as your soil pH is less than 7.4, and as long as you don't have light sandy soil, then use 1/3 of a pound. Okay, if you've got pH above 7.4 or you have sandy soil, that's when you would need to reduce the rate.
One other thing to keep in mind is the pre's that we talked about, none of them can be used post-emerge. Now there are some post-emerge products that can be used pre. For example, Pursuit. You'll find that in Authority Assist or First Rate. You'll find that in Sonic or Authority First. Those are great products.
Hey, don't forget about FlexStar. Now you can find that in a number of different pre-emerge options as well, like Prefix. So FlexStar and First Rate and Pursuit, we don't like to use those pre-emerge. Let's save the other ones for post. Even the Zidua, okay, and I know there's a lot of Fierce sold throughout the country, and it's a fine product, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather split that up. I'd rather use the Valor pre and use the Zidua early post if we need it to give us even more residual. So all those products that can be used post, we'd rather have you save them for post, because if you burn them up pre, what are you going to do post? You can't go back and use them again post-emerge. You're going to have carryover issues or crop injury issues or something like that. So you only get one shot at it. Save the post products for post.
So again, we want you to use 3 different sites of action pre-emerge. All 3. Now it doesn't have to be at the exact same time. If you're further south in the country and you say, well, I need to put a couple different shots of residual out before I even plant my crop, I certainly understand that. But in the north where we're at, we put them all 3 out at the exact same time. We're throwing out one of the yellows again, Prowl, Treflan, Sonland, plus metribuzin, which is the old Sencor, plus either Authority or Valor.
And what
that's the residual you need.
Right, and what the cost is going to be is $12 to $20 an acre, depending on the product you use and the rate you're using. So yes, I realize it does cost some money, but weeds are going to cost you a lot more money than that if you don't get great weed control.
And annual weeds are tough, like we were talking about. Our weed of the week is a biennial. We'll explain coming up next.
The Weed of the Week is sponsored by the Enlist Weed Control System from Dow AgroSciences, a new herbicide and trait system that will build on glyphosate.
Farming isn't just in the land, it's in you. Get ready to take control of weeds like never before. Enlist will build on the Roundup Ready system with new herbicide and trait technology, combining proven control of a new 2,4-D and glyphosate. Protect what matters without changing the way you farm.
Our weed of the week is common burdock. It's a biennial weed that's usually found in non-crop areas.
Yeah, and where we especially see this is in shelter belts. We're standing right next to a shelter belt right now, as a matter of fact, and I can guarantee you, if we walked out in there, we'd find some of these little burrs that would stick to our pants.
And the reason that we know this, because the farm place that we're right by, they used to have this big shaggy dog, and it was just a guarantee in the fall that when that dog came to see it, it'd have all these burrs stuck in the fur because the common burdock had gone to seed out in the tree groves.
But it's sad, it doesn't need to be that way, especially late in the fall or early in the spring. Spray some 2,4-D out in your shelter belts and that's going to take care of it. Now, because it's a biennial weed, you're probably not going to get great control with a low rate. You've got to bump up to the highest labeled rate.
Well, that's why we really like shelter belt weed control done in the early spring or especially in the later fall. That way you can get out there after the trees are already dropping their leaves. There aren't all these new buds out there and everything like you can see in the spring. It's a good time because you don't have all the cover out there from the trees in the mid-season. Now you can get on those weeds, and especially with a biennial, you can get it in the rosette stage before it's bolting and already putting on seed heads.
Yep, so again, we'd recommend you use amine out in the shelter belt. If you're out in a field situation in the fall, you can use amine or ester, or certainly Banvel if you're going to rotate to corn. In the spring, kind of the same deal. You can use the same products. It's just in front of soybeans if you found this out in the field. I don't think I'd use anything other than maybe Roundup and some metribuzin, possibly Gramoxone. Just forget about the 2,4-D and Banvel unless we get a year out here and then we have 2,4-D and Banvel resistant crops, then it'll be a different deal.
The other thing you can do, Sharpen does provide a nice burn down, but again, this is a biennial weed, so you're probably best off in burn down situations with a high rate of Roundup.
Well, that's it for our Weed of the Week, Common Burdock, but stay tuned, Iron Talk is coming up next.
Iron Talk is brought to you by Case IH.
The AFS Connect Farm Management System from Case IH connects you, and only you, to the information you need most from your equipment, from anywhere, at any time. AFS Connect, only from Case IH.
Most non-farmers don't realize that trucking is a big part of the job on the farm. With a tip on keeping those trucks on the road, here's today's Iron Talk. In agriculture, it seems like there's always something going on. When you aren't in the field, you're generally either trucking or working on equipment. In order to keep those trucks on the road, you need to keep up with licensing and DOT requirements for your state. The Department of Transportation wants annual inspections done on trucks to make sure they're safe for operation on U.S. highways. If your inspections are due in the middle of the growing season, it's a real pain to have to stop what you're doing and get the truck in for the inspection. Certainly, maintenance is a 12-month out of the year job, but we always schedule our inspections for a time of the year where we can afford our trucks to be off the road for a day. If you haven't had your inspections done yet, right now could be the best time to get them out of the way. Once you set up your annual inspections to be done at an ideal time of the year for your operation, they'll stay that way for the life of the truck. That's all for today's Iron Talk, and now back to the show. It's easy to stay busy on your farm over the winter, hauling grain, getting ready for next spring, or a host of other jobs that always seem pressing. However, if you want to make 2015 your best year ever, it's important to invest some of your time learning. I invite you to spend at least one day attending a free Ag PhD workshop. We have a new format, new information, and more tips to help you improve your yield and, most importantly, your profits. Go to agphd.com and register today.
Looking to maximize yield? Quick Roots is a microbial seed inoculant that allows the plant root to explore a greater volume of soil, the key to higher yields. Quick Roots continues to generate yield response on corn, soybeans, wheat, and more. Quick Roots is applied to the seed so the live microorganisms go right to work, enhancing seedling vigor, increasing the uptake of certain nutrients, including NPK, and expanding root volume. Maximize yield on your farm this season. Call TJ Technologies or your local dealer and get your Quick Roots today.
Wake up, breakfast is served. Your roots crave P. Most of your applied P gets tied up in the soil, a natural phenomenon known as phosphorus fixation. Fix the problem with Avail Phosphorus Fertilizer Enhancer. Avail makes more P available to your roots, here, here, and here. Increasing P availability can lead to increased P uptake in the plant. That's more P, and more P. More phosphorus for your crop can mean more results in your bin. An average of 9.6 bushels per acre of corn. Breakfast is served. Supercharge your P with Avail.
The world of farming is changing. Titan Machinery and Case IH are here to make sure you're ready. The demands on agriculture keep growing. The challenge for producers is to continue to keep pace. To be successful, you'll need equipment that can get the most out of every inch of land, innovations that help you work faster, and advice from people who know your field as well as they know your equipment. Don't get left behind. Be ready with Case IH and Titan Machinery. Better solutions.
Precision in grain moisture management can save you thousands in spoilage and elevator docks. The AgriDry Bullseye Controller monitors temperature and grain moisture and is available for all dryer makes and models. Plus, our AD-Link feature gives you 24/7 remote monitoring and allows you to control your dryer wherever you are. Call us today for more information.
Dry Load Store, 1-855 AgriDry. Closed captioning for Ag PhD is sponsored by Norwood Sales.
On your farm, you need speed and year-round effectiveness in your tillage program. The Quick Till from Norwood Sales allows you to move quickly through your fields, maximizing time and improving yield. Constructed of heavy-duty materials, the Quick Till is ideal for both spring and fall applications, from preparing a healthy seedbed early in the season to breaking up corn residue after harvest. For more information about how a Quick Till can improve fields on your farm, call Norwood Sales today.
That's all the time we have for today's show, but for more agronomic information, we invite you to tune in to SiriusXM Channel 80, that's the Rural Radio channel, each weekday at 2 p.m. Central for the Ag PhD radio show.
And don't miss the next Ag PhD television program where we'll have another Weed of the Week, Iron Talk, Farm Basics, and a whole lot more. I'm Darren Hefty.
And I'm Brian Hefty. Thanks for watching Ag PhD.
Fertilizer is a term commonly used to describe plant food. Did you realize all growing plants require primary, secondary, and micronutrients in order to grow properly and produce food for humans? For more information, visit the Responsible Nutrient Management Foundation at rnmf.org.